What if I told you this rock was the reason that I started ripping out my 220-gallon aquarium? Let's go. What's up, Fishtank people? FishtankTV.com. Dustin's Fishtank bringing it to you in destruction mode. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Your boy Dustin is tearing apart the 220-gallon aquarium on camera. This is horrible. This feels terrible. This is an awful feeling for me. In today's video, we are going to work through the pain. Y'all have seen me crying on camera about Greenhouse Fail 0.0 and the lighting. So this is nothing. This fish tank, this is fun. We're going to break down what's going on in the destruction, where we're trying to go, what we want, what we don't want, what's working, what's not working in this aquarium. Then we're going to rip it out some more. We're going to talk about some of the individual species of how they've been going. So here we go. First things first, man. I feel like that's a Wu-Tang right?
First things first, man.
You hit your whole verse. Sorry. First things first is this. People in life don't get what they want because they don't know what they want. You know what I want? I want better audio in my videos, but guess what? I had too much caffeine the other day and I took this microphone right here and I plugged it in too fast with the wrong power supply and we screwed it up. So the next videos you get, Andrew and I have already ordered a better wireless mic. We'll get you better audio. That's one thing I want.
I want you to eat some breakfast before you start making videos, dude. How about that?
But what do I want with this aquarium? What do you want with your life? Write it down on a piece of paper. This is what I want out of my life. This is how I'm going to get it. What do I want out of my aquarium? I'm going to break down what I want. People in life don't get what they want because they don't know what they want. What do I want? Take a break, Dustin. It's okay. You'll be all right. It's just a fish tank. Okay, so what do I want? Let's figure out what we want based on what we already have and what's working. This is the Fuball B26 bow front 26-gallon aquarium that I've had set up since November of 2016. This tank gets so little maintenance. It gives me so much love. I absolutely love it. But I want to show you guys something today as a lesson that the difference between this little 26-gallon tank and that big 220-gallon tank is a big difference. So I just want to show this because I'm going to talk about it on a bigger scale with the other. This is Bucephalandra, Boost trees, the whole deal. Love the Boost. This is baby tears right here. It's one of my favorite carpeting plants. Everybody always emails me, Dustin, I want a carpet. I got this deep tank and I got one crappy light that came with the hood and they want a carpet plant. All right, let me explain to you why this carpet is the way it is. This is something that I want to talk about in a big long lighting video if I ever get around to making it. But it's like this. There's something with lighting and it's called the inverse squared law. And what that means is that for every unit of measure you get away from the light source, you exponentially lose light. It's like building blocks, okay? This aquarium right here, I want to show this. This is a 150 watt Coral Life metal halide on it. This is the baby tears. This is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Look at this. This is 11 inches, okay? This is 11 inches right here from the surface of the water. Make sure you got that. Surface of the water to the plant. 11 inches with a 150 watt metal halide, okay? So this 150 watt metal halide is only having to penetrate 11, call it 12, 13 inches to get to this plant. I've got a lot of light that makes it easy, okay? So it's easy for me to grow a carpet in a very shallow aquarium. Why am I talking about this when we're supposed to be tearing down the 220? Let me explain. To the 220. I just showed you the B26 where we've got like 11 inches. Being as rudimentary as I can here. Planet Tanks Made Easy, Dustin'sFishtanks.com. Look at this. This is the bottom of my skanky 220. This is 11-inch piece of paper, okay? 11 inches here, 11 inches here. Then we got another 6 inches here. It's actually a 30-inch tall 220, but call it from the substrate. Call it 28 inches. Now look, lighting an aquarium, if we exponentially lose light, if we go with the light source being 28 inches above where we're trying to grow, we need a crap ton of light to get to the bottom of this. Now look, I'm not saying I can't light it, but what do I want? I want easy, okay? I want simple, okay? The footprint of this tank is huge. Like, you could do the math on it. What? So it's a 6-foot tank, so it would be like the equivalent of the footprint of a 40 breeder is 36. It's the equivalent of like 440 breeders, okay? Imagine having to maintain 440 breeders. Not to mention I'm dealing with 30 inches of height to get in there. So I want this tank to be set up. I want it to be easy. Did I mention I'm doing new construction to build another greenhouse? I ain't gonna have time to do anything crazy in this tank at this time. Once I get the greenhouse built, a whole other story. But I've also got a 350 in the garage I'm gonna do. But this tank right here today, I'm trying to set this up as easy as possible for me to not have to do a lot of work. I'm not trying to trim a bunch of plants. I'm not trying to grow a carpet. I'm trying to make it simple and deal within the confines of my 30-inch tall 220-gallon aquarium. Compare that, though, to how easy it is to grow a carpet with almost no work in the B26. These are two very, very different aquariums. So I want you all to understand that all y'all with the 90 gallons of your hexes or your taller tanks, you need a lot of light to get to the bottom. So let's talk about the plants and the easy stuff. And we'll build momentum with talking about what's going right. I'm going to take these plants out because I want to show you guys the rewards you get for patience. None of y'all have any patience anymore. Here's the patience. This really fire Anubias barteri. This is another giant fire Anubias barteri. I can't wait to show Josh this. Note, the rhizome is above. The rhizome is above. The plant is down in dirt. We're going to talk about dirt in a second. Okay, so the rhizome is above, but the roots are able to eat the dirt. Very important. You think dirt grows plants? Look at this darn plant. I'm going to take her out and give her a full look as we trash the tank. Attached to a rock. Monster. I've got some coffee folia over here that I want to show you. One of my favorite plants. Brian Campbell turned me onto it. I'm gonna take it out. It's got this nice root. Make sure you get a shot of that, Andrew. That's a nice root coming all the way down. That root was down in the dirt. Everybody can see that. And again, I'm going to talk about the dirty tank in a minute here. I'm not going to remove it, but I've got pictures of me licking this plant. This is a Crypt Oosteriana. This is a Crypt Oosteriana. In Greenhouse 2.0, Dusty will be growing these plants, and I will not be selling these plants. All these plants you see, I do have plants like these for sale on my website. Crypt Oosteriana is not in stock. It actually has a purple inner leaf. This is a really, 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 I'm going to say dope plant. It just needs to be trimmed and get a little bit more CO2, and it will have an entire inner part of it will be a circle. You can see the red it will get over here, right here. It gets this red in the center here. So the inner parts of this plant will have this red center, and this is actually new growth coming off the Oosteriana. So we're going to leave the Oosteriana alone. I'm going to bring out one of our favorite plants from Africa, talking about Bulbitis. So we're going to give Bulbitis some love. And then we've got the Bulbitis, we've got the Anubias, and I do want to show this because I got this from Steve out at Aquarium Zen in Seattle here. And if you guys remember, back in the day, I used to have this plant out in the 220. So it's actually back in the 220. So I'm excited to show you guys these. So those are the main plants. And I want to have a big discussion about the crenum when we get back in here. Say hi to Karen's firstborn son right there. Rest in peace, Karen. Look at him. Just as much personality as his mom. Such a sweetheart. All right, let's roll outside. I want to point this out real quick. This is a hibiscus that I've had in the greenhouse all winter long. This is a flowering hibiscus that I just bought. You can see the bomb flowers on it, excuse my French, but hibiscus is a bomb plant. This one's about to pop out. This survived the winter in the greenhouse. Any of you hibiscus keepers out there, drop me a comment on this. I get it full, huge filled up water. I just put a bunch of fish poop water in it. You can see it's about to bud out, but I did keep this in the greenhouse all winter long. 40 degrees was the min temp, and it's about to really be popping. So I'm proud of myself for that one. Folks, I gotta talk about bulbitis. I've had USDA Customs confiscate this plant because it's had bugs on it before. It's one of my favorite plants coming out of Africa. I love it. African water fern. I do sell a lot of these plants. Bulbitis is not in stock, but if you go there and hit the notifications, you'll get notified when it is back in stock. Don't leave this video, go to my website, do it later. But this plant is awesome. I really want you guys to see the texture of this plant like out on a whiteboard because I just really think mega hardy. I actually could break it into multiple pieces. I'm not going to do that because I like the way it is right now. I'm spraying it down. This plant does not care. Slower grower. We've got the sauce figured out for it, so it's growing pretty quick for us. This, however, has actually been developed in lower light conditions, and it likes, generally speaking, lower light conditions. I found that bulbitis grows best with a little bit of water flow. So you want to have some water flow going on, and it seems to grow faster with the water flow. You know, and just think about Africa with faster moving, harder water. Which leads me to the Anubias though. But I wanted to show this bulbitis hootilati. It's actually got a thinner look to it than some ways I've seen it under. I've seen it growing with actually really wider leaves when it comes up out of the water. You can click the links around or check out this clip of my man Steve. I'm going to talk about him in a second, the owner of Zen out in Seattle. He has this plant growing up at the top of one of his main display tanks. So definitely a dope plant. Speaking of dope plants, hey Josh, how do you feel about bulbitis, dude? I want the bulbitis cameo from Josh.
This is a gangster plant, man. I mean, you can pretty much just shove like an entire like, you know, bundle of this stuff into nothing, and it'll just survive in there. It doesn't even melt. It's insane.
Like, pull up to me and Josh.
In terms of bulletproof plants that he like always does, like that's definitely the bulletproof plant. Like that's definitely the bulletproof.
I've tasked Josh with like, hey man, put 2,000 bulbitis in this 100-gallon aquarium, or what was it?
It was like a 90, I think.
It was a 90. We had about, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of.
It was
bulbitis.
like 2,000 bulbitis.
Yeah, and I want to just get Josh's reaction with this plant real quick. How do you feel about barter eye like this, homie?
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
That's insane.
I know, this plant deserves its own.
The moss just like coming off this stuff.
Doesn't even care. Check out this though.
Jesus.
That's the perfect type of plant to put in a
look at this
large.
Look at this boost that's just stuck in it.
Oh, put that in the repair tank.
Okay.
It's growing around an FX4 5 clip. It's like pulling around it. So I
wonder why it went straight up like that.
So check it out on this plant, Andrew, if you can get a shot down. I don't know how good the shots are with this, but with this plant right here, I do want to point this out. This plant was underneath good water flow, and it's actually like my baby. And this could be broken into like 6 different plants. Please note, this rhizome apparently was down in the substrate or close to it, but these roots were definitely down into the dirt. Rhizome above the gravel. Roots down into the dirt. We're going to talk about the dirt in a second here.
But the bottom level with the substrate.
Level or close to it. But you can see here, this was actually in some dirt, or the roots started there. So that's why
insane.
the plant feeds, and you can see it curling up here. It needs sprayed with water. So we're going to get this baby some water. Show you the boost repair tank again, along with some other pretty fire plants we have growing. Pretty dialed in. Come from completely different parts of the world too. Josh scoring the boost right here. So this is the boost repair tank. We've got it pretty dialed in. This is a new piece of boost. This is a old piece of boost with new growth coming off 1, 2, 3 spots. We've also got some Apanos that grow the exact opposite of that. And we've got this always fire!
The roots are insane.
Fire! Red Mirio. I want to make a note about this plant. This plant is fabulous. There's no way this plant is going in the 220 as it is. It's a fire plant, but unfortunately it requires higher light more water flow than I got. Just ain't ready for that. So this is the fire boost that I showed the other day. Leaves come in light color, then slowly get darker in my experience with it. And then at the bottom of this tank, you can also see there's a Conodorus Tenellus just popping off on its own. Quick little side trip. Fully underwater grown Tenellus. That is available as well. And while I'm out here, I do want to show this plant. This could be an option in the 220, fast growing Apongiton ovaceus. We grow these from bulbs. They grow out nice for us. This plant gets monster and could just be a really nice option as a background, easy, hardy plant. I actually had ovaceus in the 220 back in the day as well.
What's up, Fishtank people? FishtankTV.com.
All right, so the Anubias barteri is a hard act to follow, but I think if I had to have a plant that I could put in there, the Anubias caufifolia would be one that would be willing to follow it. I do have a little bit of something going on the leaf there. I'm not worried about that. I would be removing that though before I put it back in the tank. This plant actually has a red stem. It's slightly malnourished though, because it should have more of a red stem than it actually does. But again, I want to show this. This plant, rhizome above the substrate, one root down into the center of the substrate. So, or excuse me, down into the dirt of the tank. So definitely a hardy, easy, doesn't need a lot of light. Likes a little bit more water flow to keep the algae off its leaves because it's a slower grower. Anubias caufifolia, definitely a plant I'm going to work more into the next scape. This is a plant that I used to have in the 220. I actually used to sell this variety, but I sell a different variety. This is Trident Java Fern. Got this from Steve out at Aquarium Zen. I want to show this. I don't know exactly what's going on with this plant. It's got some stuff going on here. I don't, like, Java ferns do this. They get these little like nubs or balls or whatever. So I am curious if anybody has any feedback on what this is, but this plant is really cool. And this plant actually, unlike the you find them US from domestic suppliers, this plant actually, I believe, is from Borneo and comes from a slightly lower pH. Not typical of the Java Fern. Java Fern typically likes a little more calcium content in the water, but look at the sweet design on that. I mean, even its shadow looks cool. So I want to bring this out. Takashi Amano said, over 10 years ago actually, he said at the AGA in Atlanta that I saw him at, he said the more you trim Java Fern, the more it grows. So Dusty's gonna thin this stuff out and make a return to the Trident Java Fern. So I just wanted to show these plants out of the tank to really get some true appreciation for it. And if anybody knows what this is, let me know what's going on with this plant. It looks healthy, just not sure what that is. And I have to give Anubias nana some credit here. This is a plant that has not been touched or messed with. People ask, how do you spread out Anubias? This is one of the first plants I really fell in love with, the white sclerumbia. Basically, this has been growing like this, the bottom of my tank. Anubias shows you where it needs to be pulled apart, right there, easy. See how it's bound right there, boom. And then also all this could be broken into 4 plants. I'm not gonna do that because I don't know which direction I'm gonna go. But Anubias like this prefers and likes it and will grow more. Like when I lived in Boca, I used to just break it and spread it out. Break it and spread it out. You could do that every other month with Anubias. I want to show this. There's a killer amongst us right here. This is a massive assassin snail that is in here and was hauling butt. But he will kill all kinds of stuff if I let him stay here. So he is going to actually be removed and put into the greenhouse because I like snails and I've got some monster, like he could take down this snail right here if I let him. That's a blue mystery snail. I absolutely love the mystery snail. It's probably my favorite snail. So this snail right here could kill this snail. So this snail's a gots to go situation. There you go, buddy. There you go, baby. Back to your home. Daddy will get you going. Okay, so we've talked about the lights. We've talked about some of the plants. Now we're going to talk about the substrate. And I owe this to whoever made the comment in the other video the other day. Dustin, are you going to re-dirt this aquarium? I want to talk about the dirting of a large aquarium This tank was dirted almost 8 years ago. 8 years ago, okay, 8 years ago. Let's talk about the downside first, because I do think it's worth mentioning, because a lot of people go, I don't want to use dirt in my tank, I put water in, make a mess, and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, for some reason my plants don't grow. Look, lady, plants eat at their roots. So you need to feed plants at their roots. Now look, y'all are staring at Dustin's dirty undies, right? Like, this is gross. Like, I'm not proud of showing this, but I feel like you guys can learn something from it. This dirt in this tank is still working, but it has made a giant mess, okay? Like the equivalent of 440 breeders worth of 30-inch deep. Like, Dustin's got to clean out and get rid of this dirt kind of under control, okay? So it's a mess. It's made a mess. I'm not excited about going and messing with all this dirt, all right? Like, I'm not pumped about using the big siphon. I can't use the little siphon because it gets clogged because the big chunks come through, okay? It sucks. But I want to be very clear on this. I would not change a single thing about the way that I dirted this aquarium. Here's why. Let me explain. Plants eat at their roots. Andrew, make sure you put plants eat at their roots in text, okay? Like, everybody's got to get that, all right? If you get that, you can grow plants. Simple. I don't know how many people have like emailed me like, oh my God, I got a dirty tank, it's great. Look, dirty tank's not for everybody. If it's not for you and you like to move plants around too much, cool, that's you. Do you. Always do you. But the amount of reward and simple plant growth that I have received in this aquarium by having a dirted substrate cannot be underestimated. I'm going to go back to lighting for a second because it's one of the first questions I ask people. How are your lights and what is your substrate? My lights are good, they're not great. But what I lack in light, I can make up for in plants that do not care. They got all the food in the world. You've seen the growth on these large plants. Anubias taking roots coming down there. I've got a crenum with 60-inch long leaves behind me that we're going to talk about more in a second. This plant, my buddy Brian, is growing it in pool filter sand. So it can grow in pool filter sand. He also does 50% water changes once a week. But there's no way, there's no question, there's no way that I would have this kind of plant growth without good nutrient-rich substrate. You can use different varieties of substrate, fluorite, flourish, whatever, stratum, whatever you got to do. However, with a dirty tank, you know you are feeding your plants exactly what they want, where they want, and the results and the rewards are uncanny. This tank has good, not great light on it. It's 30 inches deep, and I'm growing the heck out of plants and have been for a long time. So that's a long-winded way of saying, yes, I'm going to keep this tank dirted, and yes, I am happy about it, even though, yes, the work that I'm going to have to do getting this out of here sucks because it's all just a giant dirt mess. I'm going to do the work because I have been so rewarded for it. It's worth it. I don't want to tear out my tank and redirt it. Look, take the time, dirt your tank, do 1 inch of dirt underneath 1 inch of BB gun size BB gravel, put your stuff in the tub, you can do it. It's worth the work. And to this day, this long, 6 foot long, 220 gallon aquarium, like, yo, I got a long wingspan, 6 foot long tank, dirted head to toe, 2 inches of dirt. I use a little too much dirt, but I still wouldn't do it any differently. This tank remains dirted, love it being dirted, and I'm willing to do the work for it. Dirt rant's over.
What if I told you this rock was the reason that I started ripping out my 220 gallon aquarium? Let's go. There's the old rocks over there.
Go big or go home.
Our feet.
Now we gotta figure out where it goes. Cool.